hanging out with the pimp and poppy, Don Sloppy, aka Pimp Daddy Mauricio, and he's pimping as usual, as you can see. I mean, clearly somebody who can create such a handsome man like that is clearly capable of running the shithole, atomic waste dump that they call the city of Wayne, Michigan. The city of Wayne, Michigan's only hope is a junior educated college graduate, Georgia Military College graduate, and a Dominican immigrant. That is your only fucking hope. And that's sad, but that's reality. That's reality. So I'm the man for the job. I accept the bullshit that's about to be thrown my way. But you can all thank this young man because of it. This young man is my inspiration. He's the reason why we got to make Wayne great again. We got to make Wayne great again. I don't know if it was ever great, to be honest with you guys, but, you know, we got to make it great again, regardless. Better than it was before, that's for sure. Better than it is now, I should say, more accurately. But, yeah, he's the reason why. He's the reason why we do what we do, because, you know, he needs a future. That's not, you know, bum-infested, DEI hire-infested, right? He needs a normal place to live, right? Where a meritocracy, right? Where competence is rewarded and incompetence is not. So we just want to, you know, grow up in a normal city where there's common sense and there's accountability and, you know, there's white people that want to stay here, right? We want white people. We love white people. White people are the greatest thing that ever happened to this country, bar none. And not to say other groups of people are not, or they have not contributed, but yeah, a city without white people, well, that's Detroit. And as you see, Detroit's a shithole, a complete shithole. So, you know, definitely want to keep our city nice so white people will still live here. Because without white people, let's just be honest, people, without white people, America's fucked, right? Without people that are white and give a fuck about America, America's fucked. Like, totally fucked. So, be careful, Mauricio. Gotta be careful, dude. What are you doing? Mommy go see you, dude. She go get you. Mommy go get you, dude. But just as Mauricio's climbing over this island table here, we've got to climb over the shithole city government, city council, infested with fat white trash bums like Kevin Dowd, Donald Quarles, and John Racy. He's a fat fuck as well, but yeah. We are tired as a city. We are tired of incompetent white trash fat fucks. Okay, that's what we're tired of. And we just want people that have, you know, real ideas, right? People that have a IQ above 85, right? Which is medically retarded, right? Which is conveniently the average IQ of non-whites in America is about 85, which is functionally retarded. Which I'm gonna guess that the city of Wayne government, the average IQ is below 85. You know, room temperature IQ, that's what I call them. Room temperature IQ. But we're tired of the room temperature IQ because the room temperature IQs just aren't getting the job done, right? I know those people up on the city council might look white, but they're not. They're not white. Because well, they're an embarrassment to the white race, period, right? And then Rob Darwich, he's a fake Muslim. He's a piece of shit. You know, he's their token. He's their token up there. Mr. Rob Darwich, their token. Because they got to make themselves look non-racist, right? Because that's the most important thing in America is to not be racist, right? Regardless if your country is just falling apart because it's being overrun by third worlders and shit, right? But hey, as long as we don't get called racist, right? As long as we don't get called racist, that's all that matters, you know. Well, I don't give a fuck if I get called racist. In today's world, it's actually a compliment because what it means is you acknowledge the truth, you can recognize patterns, right? And you call a spade, right? And of course, we don't hate anyone, but we're not going to apologize. They are white. No, they're really not. You see, I know it might appear as if they're white. They might be white adjacent, but they're not white. They're not white. No. Real white people could never fuck something up that bad, right? Especially men, right? Enough white men in a room, if they were actually white men, they couldn't fuck it up that bad. But I mean, there are some white women in there, obviously. That here's my opinion, guys. I don't believe women should be in politics at all. I don't think they're capable or qualified, and I don't think it's good for society. And I think we've seen that throughout the since women's suffrage, we've seen the decline of America, and it's no mistake that the decline of America started when we gave women the right to vote. And then we put women in power and gave them, leadership positions that they're unqualified for, right? And now we have the shit show that we have now in America where, the majority of voters are women. The majority of voters are women, and look how fucked up this country is. Of course they'll say, oh, it's because of white men, right? White men, they messed it up, right? Well, it's weird. As the country becomes less and less white, as the country becomes less and less white male centric, right? You notice a steady and predictable decline. As the country becomes more and more non-white, you notice the country becomes shittier and shittier. But nobody can figure it out. Nobody can correlate it, right? Nobody can causate it, right? Nobody can put two and two together, right? It's just amazing in America to watch people complain about America, the decline of it, right? But then they don't want to accurately diagnose why, right? They want to diagnose the problem. Oh, America sucks now, which in a lot of ways it does. It simply does. And really, America peaked around the 1950s and 1960s. That was America's peak, and now we've been on a decline ever since. But people want to point out the fact that America sucks or the city of Wayne sucks, but they don't ever want to acknowledge why it sucks or what changed, right? And the very simple answer is the demographics of America have changed, artificially changed, of course, right? Nothing about importing third worlders into your country is a natural occurrence, right? I mean, the Democrats, the left will lie to you and tell you that, oh, no, this is natural migration. No, this is economic migration. This isn't immigration. This is economic migration, right? Migrating for economic reasons, right? In particular, welfare, right? As we see in Minnesota, right? All the Somalians, right? The most inbred, disgusting fucking culture on earth. And all these liberal white women want to bring in all these Somalians, right? And then, oh, lo and behold, billions of dollars in welfare fraud. What a shock. What a total fucking shocker. Have you guys seen the average IQ of a Somalian? Have you guys actually looked it up? Over 50% are inbred, right? So that's going to seriously hinder your IQ. But then you just, factor in violent, inbred Muslims, right, from East Africa. What could possibly go wrong with that scenario? Well, everything can go wrong with it. That's why they have an average IQ. I think it's like 78, which is below retarded. Below retarded. That's what you're importing into our country. Violent jihadists that are below retarded IQ. And then you want to act shocked that, oh, Minnesota's turned into a shithole. Well, what a shocker, huh? What a total shock. So, and Tim Walz, the dipshit governor of Minnesota, who promoted and condoned and facilitated this invasion, right? This welfare fraud invasion. What's his solution to the problem? His solution is to double down. Yeah, my heart is full of hate. It's actually not, guys. The thing is, though, is like we got to call a spade at some point. And we have to start recognizing that there are differences, tangible, scientific differences among races of people, right? And different ethnicities. There's a clear and concise difference, right? And if we as Americans want to continue to have a country, then we have to start recognizing those differences and taking those differences seriously. And stop tiptoeing around the fact that, oh, someone's going to call you racist or like this person over here. Your heart is full of hate, brother. No. My heart's not full of hate. My heart's full of contempt for degenerates and for con artists and for low IQ retards that have no place in society. But is your problem them being Muslim or their actions? Well, no, it's, like I said, crazy enough, guys. Here's a crazy enough idea. I am a monotheist myself. And so I'm a Muslim, right? Now, there's a difference between being a degenerate and a non-degenerate. But unfortunately, and I'll be the first one to admit, the majority of Muslim culture is not compatible with Western civilization, with Judeo-Christian values. It's just simply not compatible. And to pretend otherwise, I mean, listen, I wish the world was all rainbows and sunshine, and I wish, right? I wish it was all, we could all come from different parts of the world and we could all assimilate and yeah, look at Syria, right? I mean, look at all these other countries. I mean, look at Somalia, look at Chad, look at Nigeria, look at Sudan, right? Look at all these countries where there are Christians and Muslims in proximity, and then you can see firsthand, right? Look at Armenia, right? Look at all these countries, all these Christian countries that have Muslims in proximity, and you'll see a pattern as old as time itself. And it's not hate to recognize that, right? It's not hate to recognize the fact that as white countries become more and more non-white, they become more and more unsafe, they become more and more indebted, they become more and more unwalkable, unlivable, right? And you got to beg the question, well, why is that? Well, globalism is why, guys. Globalism is why. White women in particular is why. Liberal white women that have no sense of survival, right? I mean, to live in a first world country and to actively, openly advocate bringing in tens of millions of non-white, non-English speaking people, right? Or non-native language speaking people, right? I mean, it's cultural suicide. I mean, it's literally, you got to be a fucking retard, right? Which I believe a lot of liberal white women are retarded. I really do. And that's, like I said, the Hart-Celler Act of 1965 was the beginning of the decline of America. And it's been downhill ever since. But really, it started under women's suffrage. And that's not to say women shouldn't have the right to work and all that, which they should, right? If you want to be a spinster, then by all means be a spinster. But it shouldn't be promoted as the norm, right? The norm should be strong nuclear families, and women that support their husbands, right? Women that have children when they're young, and then when they're in their 40s or 50s, after their kids are grown and out of the house, you could return to work and have a part-time job, right? To support the family, right? Of course, not to compete with men, right? That's the reason why wages suck ass, too. A lot of people don't, they can't put this together, right? It's very simple math, supply and demand. when they doubled the workforce, when they allowed women to enter the workforce in mass numbers, that cut your wages in half, right? And so now instead of a man competing with other men for a job, now you got to compete with not just women, not with just, minorities, right? But you got to compete with immigrants from third world countries that'll work for fucking $4 an hour, right? And why are they over here? Well, because of white women, because liberal white women said, hey, we don't want to be racist, right? Hey, hi, Shella, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah. So it's not about hate, I'm all for having productive people in this country, but unfortunately, like even as like I have a Haitian woman who lives with me, and her husband's Nigerian, and they'll be the first ones to tell you 80% of people in Haiti are degenerate welfare dwelling bums. Like they don't want to work, they're low IQ. They cause a lot of crime. I mean, my wife's Dominican, so she can speak on this firsthand. If you guys know the history of Dominican Republic and Haiti, then it's not controversial in Dominican Republic, right? And the Dominicans who are black will be the first to tell you that they really don't care for the Haitians by and large. Not to say that there are exceptions to the rule, and they're good ones, of course. There's good people in every group. But collectively, as a whole, Dominicans do not want Haitians in their country. Just like, normal people that have a fucking brain, have any brain cells at all. Dr. Spopey. Crazy take, you should grow a mustache. Well, I might just do that. I might just grow one for you. It's logic. Yeah, it should be logic, right? It should be pretty simple shit here, right? Wanting to preserve your culture and wanting your country to continue to exist is not racist. It's not hatred. It's called survival, right? It's called common fucking sense. But a lot of white people, for some reason or another, particularly white women, but there are men who are cucks too, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of white men that just, soy boys that just cuck out to whatever white women say because they want to get laid, I guess. White liberal women, I should say, because white conservative women are great. But it's the white liberal women that, they're 3/4 of the reason why we have these problems. Yeah, it's not really a difficult concept to understand, is it? I don't think so. But white women, white people in general, liberal, left-leaning white people in particular, they don't really have a survival mechanism, right? Like other races of people, they have what's called tribalism, right? They want to stick together. They want to preserve their own. They want to promote their own, whereas white people, left-leaning white people in general, they have this weird quasi-independence about them, where they think that like, well, it doesn't matter if I become a minority because the laws, and it's like you can already see, right? They're subverting the laws. They're subverting the justice system. I mean, liberal white women like Brita O'Leary, the 29th District Court judge down in the city of Wayne, she's a liberal white woman. She'll subvert the law against white men because she doesn't like them, right? They'll completely fabricate probable cause. They'll fabricate laws, and they'll, it's kangaroo court, right? And so what's Wayne? At least 60-70% white on paper it is. I don't think it is. I think it's maybe 50%, which is fine. It's not, but hey, I don't really have to deal with it all that much because, like I said, I'm kind of I'm kind of on an island over here. But yeah, I do feel sorry for a lot of people, for whites, for Latinos, for blacks that don't want to be associated with the degeneracy of immigration, of third world immigration in particularly, and the argy-bargy that comes with some of these other communities, these non-white communities, right? And let's just be honest. I mean, They're a degenerate society. They're degenerate culture, and as America becomes more and more non-white, it becomes more and more degenerate. It's not a secret. It's not a surprise. I mean, you can choose to ignore it if you want. You can choose to be a cuck if you want and accept it and say, well, but when I have people that are clearly non-white who live in my house that are pointing out the same thing, when they're saying they're tired of all the bullshit and they're tired of, they got black fatigue, right? And my wife has it and everyone else has it, right? I mean, it's like, well, it's clearly not a racial thing. That's just low IQ argument. When someone calls you a racist, that's just somebody doesn't have an actual argument to what you're saying, and they're just low IQ, right? And really, they're probably, they're probably secretly gay, or they're just retarded and haven't been diagnosed yet, or they have dementia. One of the three is typical. The start of women in the workforce in Europe was due to the plague. It was just numbers game, and again in the Second World War. Yeah, I mean, is it to say that there are no women that contributed? I mean, of course not. I mean, there was plenty of women that contributed positively to Europe and to America. The problem is there's far too many of them working. They're not having children. They're not replacing the population that's being lost, and they're a net negative on the system. A lot of these women are on welfare. They're single moms, right? They don't work any meaningful employment. They take away benefits from men. I mean, like I said, men are what keep the country going. Make no mistake about it, right? Without men, countries don't exist. And so, we can sit here and talk about women's rights and women's suffrage all we want, but that's a luxury, guys. You understand? Like, in most parts of the world, that's a foreign concept for good reason. Because if we have a limited number of resources and the opposing tribes are trying to invade us, constantly, and we're constantly at war, then you don't really have the luxury of this women's right garbage, which is just garbage, right? Women have always had the right to do whatever they wanted. It's just that in most contexts, like I said, women are by and large, they're not equal to men in intelligence. They're just not. But, like there's exceptions, right? Like my wife's very intelligent. There are other women that are very intelligent. But by and large, the average leftist liberal woman in this country, fucking morons. Complete retards. And no, they should not have the right to vote. No, absolutely not. That's the reason why our country sucks ass, is because of women voting for stupid shit that they don't have to deal with the consequences of it, right? It's like all the leftists in Silicon Valley that vote for this leftist Democrat dog shit, and then they live in a gated community, so they don't have to deal with the consequences of it until the homeless encampment is right outside their gated community. Then all of a sudden you see, then they have a problem with it, right? And then they have a problem with it. Then of course they want the men to show up and do something about it, right? Yeah. Go fuck yourself. They're sucking the system dry. Yeah, I mean, look at Minnesota. I mean, look at the Somalians in Minnesota, right? Like, who in their right fucking mind, what kind of dope or crack cocaine do you have to consume to think that inviting a single Somalian into America is a good idea, but tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, right? Just think of what kind of fucking drugs, what kind of dope do you have to smoke and consume to think that that's a good idea? I don't know. But I know it's fucked up. And I know it ain't right. And I'm going to tell you it ain't right. And I don't give a fuck. You can call me racist. You can call me sexist, misogynist. You can call me all that. Here's my response. Oh, yeah. Don't threaten me with a good time, guys. Don't threaten me with a good fucking time. I love that kinky shit. Greed, yeah. Well, that's a good. Pussy is a drug addiction. It is a rough fight. Yeah, I mean yeah, you're right. You're on the money though. You're on the money. What you talking about? You're on the money. What kind of drug did they consume? Greed. Yeah, I mean, That's accurate. You know, consumerism, right? We got to have an increasingly growing and we have to have an increasingly growing population to consume all this garbage that we produce, right? And you know, white people, especially white men, they're more frugal. They're more, you know, they're more resource conservative, right? They're more conservative with resources, right? And so white people don't consume enough shit, and they don't fuck enough and have enough children out of wedlock, right? And so, man, we got to import the third world. We got to import the immigrants. Remember, America's a nation of immigrants. Biggest crock of shit that's ever been said. America is not a fucking nation of immigrants. America is a nation of predominantly white, English-speaking, Judeo-Christian, value-led European livestock. And it was like that until 1965, the Hart-Celler Act. America was a predominantly European ancestry, Judeo-Christian valued society. And what did we become? What did we become? Well, 1965 rolls around. Nope, we got to import a bunch of Latin Americans and third worlders, Central and South Americans into America. Mexicans, you know, because Mexico, that's just the epitome of democracy around the world, right? That's the pinnacle of success around the world, right? And it's cultural suicide is what